Hello, everybody. I'm Phil, and this is Coping with Donald. And it's getting tough to cope with Donald because he's getting more and more weird. I can't imagine him being able to even pretend he's not insane by the end of the year. He's not doing a very good job now. But first, we're going to talk about somebody else. We're going to talk about somebody named Dr. Auburn? Or, I'm sorry, Dr. Autumn, I believe it is. Autumn Gallagher. I can't read my own handwriting. Autumn Gallagher. She lives in Texas. She is a doctor, Dr. Autumn Gallagher. I hope I don't say Auburn again. She has been in the news, well, on YouTube a lot lately. She has her own channel. She's very MAGA, and many times on the channel, she'll be side by side with someone else. Now, someone else will have been on their own channel or made their own TikTok or something like that. And usually they're espousing a liberal view, like they don't like alligator Alcatraz, and that they used FEMA funds to build it, so there's less to hand out to victims of natural disasters. And there's if people are having a tough time with the new big beautiful bill, she says, well, go to another country if you don't like it, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, get a job, you lazy ass, all that kind of stuff. She's not nice. And she's been on the internet lately. Now, she was featured in a Reese Waters YouTube. Reese Waters has a very wry sense of humor, and he's very good at what he does, collecting all these things and commenting on them. So it's Reese and then Waters. If you happen upon his stuff, it's excellent. Excellent stuff. Excellent channel. And he had gathered things that people had put together in excellent fashion, showing this lady yelling and screaming and insulting and hurling insults and abuse at people. Not at people, at TikToks of people. Well, she's also now kind of famous because she got on TV after the Texas flooding. She lives near there, and she was talking about how nobody has anything. There's no water, there's no food, there's no this, there's no that. Somebody help us. People, come help us. And boy, did the TikTok community come down on her. And rightfully so. A woman that doesn't think that people should get help after national disasters and bases her vote on things like that. Bases her vote on hatreds for minorities, etc., etc. Just hatred for people. She assumes that everybody who's poor is poor because they're lazy. And that's an assumption many Republicans make. Not all, but many. And what's even more sad is that this woman, Dr. Autumn Gallagher, is a therapist for children, endangered children. Can't even believe I'm saying this. In Texas. This is another good reason not to go to Texas. And also people with alcohol problems, drug problems, children at risk. I can't really marry these two things in my own mind, and I don't blame you if you can't either. But now here she is begging for assistance when she doesn't believe that government should assist anybody, and she's made that especially clear. Even more crazy is that the funds that would go from FEMA to help her area and rebuild are going to alligator Alcatraz. what's even worse is that she lives in what she called an incorporated county or an incorporated part of the county in Texas where she lives. Now, I know that in Florida, some areas are cities like Fort Pierce in St. Lucie County and Port St. Lucie in St. Lucie County. And a lot of the surrounding area that's not part of those two, if not all of it, is unincorporated St. Lucie County. Now, one reason people live in unincorporated St. Lucie County is they don't want to belong to a city because then they have city taxes as well as the county taxes. So they on purpose avoid the city. So she is angry that it took sheriff's deputies a day. Do you know how big the counties are in Texas? And vast, and a lot of them, forget Houston and Dallas and Fort Worth, okay? But a lot of the areas have very few people per square mile. Okay, so she was upset. It took them a while to get out there, and then they just said, you have to get out of here. You have to evacuate. It's still raining there, by the way. So she ignores that, I mean, she ignores that the funds for the Weather Service, NOAA, were cut by Trump. That he's using the funds to help her instead to build the prisons in Alligator Alcatraz, which she's all for. Then Reese Waters brought on a clip of her child, her son, her adult son. He just came on and said, look, the way that she is in her videos, that's how abusive she was to us all the time as kids, when we were kids. She's abusive, both verbally and physically. She is a counselor for at-risk children on drugs. That's not typical, but that is a stereotypical Trump supporter. She just never thought anything like this would happen to her. Now she wants help. I don't even know what to say about that. Back to Donald Trump. I don't know when this Trump tweet was specifically. But recently, Trump tweeted, look, if the Democrats wanted to save the DACA kids, they would have done something about it when they were in total control of the government 2008 to 2011. Actually, those numbers are 2009 to 2010, but okay. Actually, it might have been 2009 to 2011. Anyway, the last it could have been was 2011. So Trump says, why didn't the Democrats solidify their eligibility to stay in the United States? Well, because DACA wasn't created until 2012. This man's running the country. Okay? Now, in his the other thing I want to bring up is his last post, which is actually insanity. I don't understand how you can treat this as sane. He talks about, in his tweet, he talks about, let's not talk about Jeffrey Epstein anymore. I'm tired of it. Forget about him. I don't want to hear anything more about Jeffrey Epstein. This is the greatest country ever, and everybody thinks we're great, and all the other countries are afraid of us. Everybody everywhere is saying, wow, what a great country. Then he says, which should be fodder for every comedian for the end of time, we have many problems right now, as in the terrible Texas floods. Agreed. The terrible Texas floods in regards to the water. And then he says, regarding all the water, then he says, all right, after saying the terrible Epstein thing has got to be dropped, he says, there were so many beautiful girls, which is Epsteinish. All right? It kind of brings you right back to Epstein. And then he says, some not so beautiful, such as the Mexican immigrants, who are probably members of cartels, and he goes on to slam them for a few sentences. He can't even stop bringing out his hatred when he's talking about the people dying in the Texas floods. That's pretty sick. And it has also come out now that in 2021, the Biden administration offered that county in Texas, one of the hardest 3, I think, that are hit with these floods, $10 million, a grant of $10 million to put in a better warning system for possible disasters so that people would know. Of course, he cut the hurricane forecast weather agency this year. But this was 3 years ago when Biden put in that $10 million offer. And the people went up to the county commissioners, one after another, and said, don't take it. It's from the devil, Joe Biden. He can't tell us what to do here in Texas. We don't want his dirty money. Well, you know what? They took it, and then they used it for an armored police vehicle, among other things, so that they can terrorize the community more, I suppose, and mostly for the police department. Okay. It's getting harder and harder to feel sorry for that area. And I believe North Carolina's still waiting on some money. And New Mexico now, too. Let's send the money there. And for the people who live in these 3 counties in Texas, I think it's time for you to get out of those counties. I don't think you have good neighbors around you. I am surprised you can stand it. Even if you have to stay in Texas, move to another county 100 miles away from Kern County, Texas. They haven't even learned their lesson. They're just very stubborn and obstinate about, yeah, we took the money. We used it on police. You can't tell us what to do. All right, we won't tell you what to do. Fix this yourself. Fix everything yourself. I think anybody who lives in Kearns County from here on out is an idiot. That's all for today. So at least Dr. Auburn Gallagher is getting her comeuppance. And as one poster said, well, she accepts insurance at her drug rehab facility. Wait till that money starts drying up. Everybody have a good night. I'm going to try. This is Phil, Coping with Donald, on July 15th, 2025. Good night.